Let's talk about the Friday box office. I don't ever really talk about the Friday box office all too much, but I wonder how movies are going to fare against Barbenheimer. You know, it seems that Tom Cruise Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning will probably flop. It's doing one of the worst against Barbie and Oppenheimer. That is mostly because Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning was screwed over by Paramount. Okay, they were screwed over by Paramount Studios. On Friday box office. Basically, they only gave this movie 1 week for IMAX. They still released this movie 2 weeks before and met, Insidious release. But again, I'm not Hollywood making stupid decisions here. They really wanted that July release date. Or they sort of released this after Mission Impossible. They sort of released this after, you know, Barbie and Oppenheimer. Like, they did a Fallout, as well. Only competition would have been the Haunted Mansion movie, which again, I think another reason why this movie is not really doing too well, because even though it's a Tom Cruise movie, and you think this movie should be having good ratings, it's simply because Oppenheimer is taking all of the IMAX screens for 2 weeks. Okay, Oppenheimer opened to $33 million, which is a very good opening for a non-franchise movie. Again, it's Christopher Nolan movie, but again, this movie, if we're going by the rules of the franchise versus non-franchise, this movie should be doing worse than Mission Impossible, because Mission Impossible is already established. It's an actor that everybody hails online as the last quote-unquote real actor. Ooh, Tom Cruise is the last real actor online. But even he can't say movies anymore, okay? Hollywood's going to be in a tough nut in the next couple of months if they can't figure out why the strikes are happening. We all know why. It's because they are replacing us with robots. That's the whole plan. And it's backfiring them against them massively, okay, as well. And people are going to have to, and people are going to have to look for alternatives for Hollywood. They're gonna, okay. But you can look at the number one movie, and that's the Barbie movie. Ugh. Barbie movie. Ugh. Can't believe this movie's making this much money. Props to Gen Z. Props to, TikTok. The only reason this movie's doing so well is because of TikTok. Because TikTok was talking about, oh my god, Barbie's still gonna be such a great movie. Okay? And the same thing happened with the Mario movie. And Minions, The Rise of Gru. Okay? Whenever a movie that TikTok obsesses over, you can, people say, oh, it's because of Star Cats, because of what it is, because TikTok. TikTok is the sole reason Barbie is making this much money. Similar to the Mario movie. Gen Z, TikTok, are the sole reason this movie is making so much money. Minions Rise of Gru, quote unquote, overperformed as well. Mario overperformed. It seems that every movie that they should really try to pay attention to the audience more and try to get more movies to appeal towards them, because they're always going to be going out to see these movies. Same thing with Oppenheimer as well. You have some of the effect, but it has been mostly been affecting the Barbie movie, okay, as well. And then we have the Sound of Freedom is still doing pretty well, which again made more money than Mission Impossible. It's beating a franchise movie, which you never see it anymore, because Hollywood for the past decade has been dominated by the sequels, the franchise, the recognizable characters. It's been dominated by the same stuff over and over and over again. It's kind of refreshing to see something like Sound of Freedom make money, because Hollywood has been dominated by the Marvels, the DCs, all of that, and it's refreshing to see the non-franchise movies, the non-recognizable same things, to do well or do equally just as well as the non-recognizable things. I think Hollywood should really try to market these non-franchise movies more. Okay, like for example, we can go back to earlier a movie like Sisu. Okay, there wasn't really any advertising for Sisu whatsoever, unlike Violent Night, unlike nobody. Okay, it wasn't as great as those other movies, but I think the movie would have did better if Hollywood, or at least the company that was producing the movie, Lionsgate, was again probably the worst company to work with. Lionsgate is known for flops, but some of these movies could have done well if Hollywood at least advertised them. Okay, but again, Hollywood has no confidence in the non-franchise movies anymore. They have none. Okay. They have none. They think, oh, what's wrong? Word of mouth, and it usually always fails. Okay, you can't have that anymore. You have to advertise your movies. You have to market your movies. Okay, I know it's such a hard and difficult thing to do. Okay, But yeah, this year has been such a strange year at the box office. Okay, Barbie is going to be one of the highest grossing movies of the year, thanks to Gen Z. Okay, Gen Z, and I think even Oppenheimer might even reach the top 10. Okay, yeah, we have The Sound of Freedom at 29. Okay, being out, it's still not beating the non-franchise movies globally yet, but in America, it definitely is being many franchise movies like Dungeons and Dragons. Everybody recognizes Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, Scream is being Scream domestically. Okay, okay, you can have the domestic sales here. Sound of Freedom is beating many of these franchise movies. Scream 6, Mission Impossible, Flash, Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, Evil Dead, Shazam. Okay, but yeah. But usually franchise movies do better because they already have that established audience. They already have the established people who already like the characters, who already know these characters, who already know these characters in the movie. So people already, for example, if they make a Pokemon movie compared to Sound of Freedom, Sound of Freedom only opens to $50 million because nobody knows what Sound of Freedom is. Okay, so it only opened to $14 million on 4th of July. Okay, but if it was a franchise movie, it would open to $40 to $50 million. If it was a sequel or part of something that people recognize, okay, as well. I really think that Hollywood needs to try to, or at least Sound of Freedom is the alternative to Hollywood. But I really think that Hollywood, and that's really the movie industry as a whole, needs to have new movies. I know some people are like, oh, but they're the same stories, but have new characters, new ideas, new franchises. Okay, like for example, in the 80s, you had Ghostbusters, you had Star Wars, you had Indiana Jones, Rambo, some of the most recognizable film franchises in history. Okay, why don't we have more mega hits like that, and then instead of trying to make it into a franchise, you try to make it a standalone movie. And then build off of that standalone movie. Like they did of Star Wars. Like they did of Indiana Jones. Like they did of Rambo. And all these movies. Okay? Okay? All these movies. They all, and they're considered some of the great movies. They're considered some of the best movies. Okay? Because they can stand alone. Back to the Future is another one. Jaws. All these movies. I know Jaws is 70s, but, these movies are able to stand alone. They're able to stand alone on their own. But non-franchise movies are not able to stand alone on it anymore. Okay? They're always trying to either push a new franchise or as well. Okay? But they are able to even compete with the already produced. And you can say that's because there was nothing back then. Okay? You already have all these pre-established series. Okay? But why don't you make new franchises? Like the new big thing, the next big thing. Okay, the next Ghostbusters, the next Star Wars. Okay, the next Star Trek, the next Mario, the next Marvel, the next DC. Make a new Hollywood or the new alternatives to Hollywood. Because I think alternatives to Hollywood will definitely pop up over the next coming years. Indie movie companies, definitely should look at Sound of Freedom's box office success and say, hey, we can beat Hollywood. We can beat Hollywood in their own game. We can make new franchises, new series. Okay, new recognizable characters, new icons of filming in the film industry. I think you could definitely do that. Okay, Sound of Freedom could definitely devolve into. I know it's based on a true story, so it's not gonna get a sequel. But a movie like Sound of Freedom could definitely devolve into like a Die Hard like series, or something like that. But as well. But Hollywood, is clearly bankrupt. So either Hollywood needs to realize that, hey, maybe we should make something new, something that people will get attached to. But they're only gonna see the big box office numbers of Mario, Spider-Man, the recognizable. Okay, instead of trying to push something new as much as they push Marvel, Star Wars, Mario, Spider-Man. Okay, think of Spider-Man, people already know what Spider-Man is. People who already know who Mario is. People already know what Barbie is, okay? And that's what the struggle of the non-franchise movie is, because people already know what Creed is, John Wick is. People already know what Indiana Jones is. People already know what Ant-Man is. So those movies are automatically going to have better box office numbers, even if they flop, than if it was an unrecognizable franchise. Okay, unrecognizable movie. For example, something like Infinity Pool, something like Sisu, something like Joyride. Okay, our big failures. Okay, something like Plane, Missing, Knock at the Cabin. Okay, they are disadvantaged from the start because they compete with the franchise movies. They have to compete with the sequels, the sequels. Okay, they have to compete with the sequels. Okay, but even then, franchise fatigue is a thing. Look at Fast and the Furious, Transformers, and Indiana Jones. Okay, all movies were supposed to be box office hits, and usually happens every summer. We have all these, huge franchises. They come out and then they just underwhelm at the box office, and then we have the biggest one being the Fast, but as well. Okay, I think the biggest downfall of the non-franchise film is Pixar. Okay, Elemental should be making bank at the box office. It should be making bank, but Pixar has even gone into the what of non-franchise movies and also DreamWorks as well. Because you gotta realize the Bad Guys, it's still based off like a kid's book, but it was basically almost like a non-franchise movie. It was still based off a book, so it was not a, so it is technically a franchise movie. Okay, a recognize, and I tell you about franchise, I talk about something that people already recognize. Okay, Ruby Gilman made no money. Guess what? It wasn't a recognizable franchise that people already knew before. Okay. Now let's go back to Friday. Even like Elemental dropped 40%. So even Elemental, which has been having good rigs, can't really save it from. I think every movie's having a decent drop except for Sound of Freedom and Elemental. Those movies are actually performing the best against Barbie and Oppenheimer. Okay, but yeah, Hollywood I think is in some serious trouble because they tried to replace all the actors and actresses and writers with AI. Okay, and there's definitely gonna be auteurs that are gonna be popping up. Okay, Hollywood has basically had a monopoly over the film industry for decades now. Okay, decades now. Hollywood has had a monopoly over the American film industry for decades, and I think there should be alternatives to Hollywood. I think there should be competition in America again. Okay, I do not like Hollywood is technically a monopoly. Okay, people say Disney is, but it's really Hollywood is a monopoly. Okay, most of Hollywood is based around L.A. Okay, L.A. And there is no alternatives to Hollywood in America. Okay. Everything is based around California culture. People getting sick of it as well. Okay. Hollywood is based around California. Okay. So all 49 other states, okay, don't really get a say in anything. Okay. They still have to go by California's rules, which is Hollywood's rules. Okay. The only alternative, if you really want alternatives to Hollywood, you have to look for into foreign movies. That's the only other choice. And most Americans want a alternative to Hollywood. Okay, I think it's definitely about time, America. We get a alternative to Hollywood. Okay, other countries already don't need Hollywood. China does not need Hollywood. Japan does not need Hollywood. Okay, South Korea does not need Hollywood. Okay, even Europe does not need Hollywood. But even I think America does not need Hollywood. Okay, Hollywood. Okay. As well, you have Bollywood, you have Tollywood, you have all of these on Hollywood. Okay. As well. Okay. And even like streaming. Amazon, based around Hollywood. Okay. All of these are based on Hollywood. They're all based on Hollywood and California. Okay, that's why there's so many movies shot in LA and San Francisco, because Hollywood is based around Californian culture. Okay, I think that's definitely going to change in the next coming decades if people are willing to give non-franchise movies a chance, which I think people are finally starting to do this around now. I think people are finally starting to realize, hey, there are some good, not everything has to be Spider-Man, Mario, Pokemon, okay, Star Wars, Indiana Jones. It doesn't have to be the same, tired franchises over and over and over and over again. Okay? With the success of Oppenheimer and The Sound of Freedom further proves that there are still life to be said in non-franchise movies, of course. But yes, I think I think alternatives to Hollywood are definitely going to start coming around by the end of this decade. Okay, with the success of Sound of Freedom. Okay, the success of Sound of Freedom is astonishing. And Angel Studios is a studio that is based off of Utah. Okay, it's not based in Hollywood. Okay, it's not based in Hollywood. It's based in Utah. Okay. And they have launched a bunch of movies. Okay. But they haven't really put them in the theaters. They've mostly been in the streaming, TV, until The Sound of Freedom. And now they're picking up a bunch of movies. Probably after Sound of Freedom. Okay. As well. And they are based around Utah. Not Hollywood. Okay. But yeah, I think we're going to definitely see the end of Hollywood. Or massive decline in influence in Hollywood. I still think Hollywood is still going to have some influence in the filmmaking industry, as Hollywood is still culturally important to America. But I think that there will be alternatives being based around in other states. I think other states will finally have a say in popular American culture than just California. Goodbye.